What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we got Chad of Frozen Soul. Thank you for your time today, man.
Heck yeah, thanks for having me, dude.
Yep, it's so awesome to have you here. I think right now you're the first artist I'm interviewing this year where we're actually promoting a 2021 release. So you got Crypt of Ice coming out in January of 2021, very early on in the year. Do you just want to talk about like how the making of this album was in terms of like the songwriting and the recording and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, I mean, this record, it started a while ago, pretty soon after we wrote the demo, but it didn't really come together until right before quarantine. So
how convenient.
We got a new guitar player, Chris Bonner. He plays in a couple of other really awesome bands from our area, like Steel Bearing Hand and whatnot, and we just got cracking. And with all of us together, we just were able to really form our sound, and we knocked out the rest of the record. We re-recorded the three original demo songs because we felt that we couldn't really do them justice the way we wanted to on the demo. So we put them on the LP, and then we sort of based like a concept around the idea. Or the ideals that were kind of put out on the demo. And then, we went to town and we recorded it in Dallas. We rented our friend's studio, and we took the producer from Encased in Ice, Slade Williams, and then our old guitar player, Daniel Schmuck, who's recorded Creeping Death, and he's recorded Power Trip before and a bunch of other bands from our area. And we just rented that studio out and went to town. We finished writing some things in the studio, recorded it all, recorded a cover as well. That's not out yet. That will be at some point. And then Daniel mixed and edited everything. And then we had Jack Control from Enormous Door in Austin. He's done like a ton of badass punk bands and stuff, and metal bands, and he mastered it out. But I mean, overall, the album, the writing process was pretty intense. We had to really think about how we wanted to do some of the things we do with our formula and our style so that it didn't just sound like the same thing in every song. Mm-hmm. So we really made a point to have every single song have that riff that just hits you in the face and doesn't stop. You know, and it not be the same as the one before.
Well, you actually led me perfectly into the next question because you have two singles out, Crypt of Ice and Encased in Ice, and I was going to ask if like maybe that could serve as like maybe a clear representation of the direction that this album would be going into.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely we definitely wanted to. With the singles, we had another song that was going to originally be the first single. We felt it was a little different than everything, a little too different than everything that's been heard before. So we went with Crypt of Ice first, and that was the first song that we wrote after the demo. Mm-hmm. So it was what led us into developing our sound going forward. So I felt like hitting that song first gave everybody like a clear understanding of, okay, this is the direction they're going. But then we wanted to have Encased in Ice, which was like arguably like the most popular song from the demo. We wanted to give that song the justice that it deserved, so we gave it a music video, and we be our second single to let everyone know, like, okay, this is our new direction applied to the older songs. And then the next video is actually going to be a song called Wraith of Death, and it is different. It is my second favorite song off the album, and I think it's going to really surprise people at our level of like. Being able to write songs that can kind of catch you a little bit. And I think having Encased come out second is really going to help show people our progression as a band. So
yeah, it seems like for the making of this album, from what you're telling me, is like there was maybe a preconceived idea, but you also allowed for room for experimentation. You weren't like fully dictated by anything, right?
yeah, pretty much. That's pretty spot on.
Yep. On top of that, this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first offering to be coming out on Century Media with you guys, right?
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, first off, congratulations. They're awesome people and an awesome label. And I've been noticing lately that Century Media has been really pushing like a lot of bands that really forefront like a very dark sound. Like you see how they're signing bands like Lorna Shore, and how they're with their history with bands like Aborted, for example, and Dark Tranquillity, and so many amazing new school death metal bands as well. So like it seemed like they're like the perfect label to be working with to support your vision, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're super happy. I mean, when we got the call, we about shit our pants. So it was pretty insane to know that because I grew up watching like Shadows Fall videos on Headbangers Ball, and just the countless bands that have put out stuff through Century Media. That logo, I mean, I've seen it since I was a kid. I never imagined that we would be able to work with them, and they are definitely. I feel like they're definitely tapping in to some of the new school, old school, and hitting bands like Blood Invitation and Skeletal Remains to add to like their list of all the legendary bands that populate like their ranks.
Yeah.
I'm just honored and surprised to be on that.
Yeah, you guys are definitely in good hands. And again, I can't stress enough that like they have been kind of like the label that's been like pushing for like a lot of more intense sounds as well. Like as you mentioned before with like Skeletal Remains and Lorna Shore and Imperial Triumphant. I mean, they're bringing the heavy lately. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy to think that 20 years ago, I think like Shadows Fall was like the heaviest band that they had or something.
Yeah, like Shadows Fall and like Arch Enemy.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. Now, being the vocalist of the band, have you always needed to hear music to come up with lyrics, or has there ever been a time where maybe like you had like a concept in mind and that maybe could help dictate the direction of the music?
With this band, so it's weird, man, because like I'm not a vocalist. I'm a drummer.
Oh, sorry.
But having a situation that came up in our other band, In Times, I had to take on vocal duties, and I had to learn how to do it, and that band has a concept and a storyboard and everything for their stuff, and so with this band, I did it the complete opposite way. Like, we came up with the music first. Me and Michael wrote the demo, and I basically just formed my vocal patterns based off of the music and the drums, and then I basically came up with an idea for each song, and then I wrote lyrics that made sense with the emotion that the music made me feel. Mm-hmm. So I just stuck to that original idea. So I guess for the demo, there wasn't really there wasn't as much a concept. It turned into a concept later, which then transpired into this, which has a concept behind it. So. Yeah, hope that answers the question.
Definitely did. You are if Dave Grohl started a doom metal band.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. I'm calling you a DDG, Death Dave Grohl.
Yes. Huge compliment.
It's amazing too. And what is it with bands in Texas too? Because I remember I was interviewing a Trey from Creeping Death, and he started off as a drummer, and like now he's playing guitar. I guess drums are just like always the instrument that everybody starts off with but never sticks with down there.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Like, I love drums, man. I love them. I feel so much anxiety when I play them live. And I've toured in bands playing drums, and that's what I started with. And I don't know, man. I don't know what it is, man. But I guess like it's having all that pressure on you. It just makes you want to see other things and try other things. And I don't know. Vocals just kind of started making sense to me somehow. I don't really know, man. I don't know why drums, why it happens to so many drummers. I know the same thing happened to, I think it's the singer of the band Turnstile.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he was the drummer of a band called Trapped Under Ice.
Yes, I believe you're right.
Yeah, and then his band is more successful. His new band is more successful, and he found his calling. I think understanding drums and rhythm helps you write music better. It helps you write because everybody likes a good beat.
Definitely. Definitely.
Makes you bang your head, makes you shake, whether you're listening to hip hop, jazz, or anything. So understanding the beat and how to be on the beat. I guess it helps you be a better guitar player. It helps you be a better vocalist. It helps you just be all around, more rhythmic.
Definitely. In fact, I might go on a bit of a rant here, but there's the famous saying in music, just music period. If your drummer sucks, your band sucks. So starting off as a drummer, you already have a rhythm in mind. And I was interviewing Dirk from Megadeth a couple weeks ago, and I asked him when somebody presents the music to you without drums, how off time is it sometimes? Because not everybody has the rhythmic background behind it. So I think it's cool because as a vocalist, you're able to exert your energy and be the face of the band, but you're also thinking rhythmically as well. I think in the end, as a drummer, it's gonna be with you one way or another.
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely in our band, we do a lot of mouth riffs. And I come up with a lot of riffs with my mouth, especially our hard-hitting riffs. And we work together on them, of course, but there's times where I'm just meticulously, I'll hear something and I'll be like, oh man, I gotta try to figure this out. And I'll just beatbox it with humming the riff. And that's how some of our parts literally form in our songs. So, having that rhythmic nature really does help. So
yeah. Do you find it maybe easier to either write songs or even come up with new ideas when you're kind of alone and isolation's always a great fuel for creativity, or do you find it maybe a little bit easier when you're in the company of your other bandmates?
It's weird. It works kind of both ways. I definitely like to lose myself listening to music and just getting, gaining influence and getting ideas and getting fired up. I definitely sometimes need that solitude and that just that alone feeling so that I could just kind of lose myself in it. And I think, Michael, our lead guitar player, that I started the band with, he's the same way. We get a lot of ideas when we're driving. We're just focused on the road and thinking, and but at the same time, we really once we came together as a full packaged band, we really started being able to become accustomed to bouncing ideas off of each other and then everything. For lyrics, I really need to be alone for that, because some of our lyrics are some of the concepts behind these songs, it's pretty vengeful. There's a lot of emotion in it. And so I kind of need to reach into myself to I guess manifest that into word. I think it works both ways, honestly.
Yeah. Do you like to leave the message of the music open to interpretation, or being from what you're telling me, it's such an integral part of your sound and maybe your image and really just the band, you try to maybe engage the listener into what Frozen Soul is all about?
Well, as a full band, we've talked about this, we definitely try to leave things up for interpretation. I try and make things pretty general so that people can take what they want out of it. And growing up listening to metal and into hardcore and stuff, there were times where I didn't read the lyrics. I just, I took in what I could understand, and then it became my song. It became my understanding and my meaning, and that helped shape me as a person. And then, of course, there's times where I went in and read the lyrics, and then I'm like, man, this song didn't mean anything like I thought it did. And it was so much cooler before, I read it, So I try and make it pretty open so that people could feel the emotion that they have inside of them. And on top of that, some of these songs, are about like things that have happened personally to us and people we know and our friends and family and stuff, that like it's not like necessarily our story to tell. You know, it's more or less like, you know, it's just more or less like left general, and we like it to stay that way, you know.
Mm-hmm. I think you have the best of both worlds. I think it can be both very literal and very metaphorical.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes to like getting inspired to write, because you know you have like these messages and maybe like this emotion as well. I could tell just by listening to the music that you channel a lot of emotion. Do you find it maybe like the longer you're working on something, the harder it is to kind of maintain that creative spark that initially inspired you to begin with?
You know, I think that's always a struggle, because stuff, you know, life is just so mean sometimes, but I think that's the beauty of it. I think the fact that life is ever changing and we're only growing older, and, you know, like life is just cold and the world is cold. I think that for Frozen Soul, at least, is a constant form of motivation to keep that spark, because, there's so much to have to always deal with. And I think for us, at least, that spark, you know, being able to maintain that spark is just part of like maintaining, you know, our lives and staying focused on what we have to stay focused on. So I think it does get harder, but, you know, I don't see that spark ever going anywhere, because there's a lot of cold shit to talk about.
Especially in today's day and age. Like,
Yeah,
I've been saying, I know shows aren't happening, but they're eventually going to come back eventually. And I got to tell you, now is the time to start a band. There's going to be a lot of pissed off music coming out this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so stoked. I mean, as much as I've been, you know, struggling internally, and as well as, you know, most musicians have been, you know, and people who have like dedicated their life to this, you know, dedicated themselves to this lifestyle, you know, it's been brutal, but like, but now's the time, you know, like get it going, get fucking mad, get aggressive, like pump your shit out, start your bands, start planning stuff, like just don't stop, keep moving. And I think it's I think when this ends, shows are gonna come back like a fucking insane. I think it's gonna be insane when shows come back.
Oh, I've been telling people that when this is over, we're gonna enter the best era of art ever. Like, I think it's gonna be like, and I'm not even like trying to exaggerate. I honestly think we're gonna be in like a new renaissance in a way.
Yeah, I think so too. I really think so too, because we have like, yeah, I've been seeing like bands in our local area and stuff, like having shows, and you know, we've been offered shows, but we're not playing any shows. We're trying to be safe. Of course, we want to play shows, but we can't have the fun we want to have, and we know that it's not going to go anywhere. So we're just chilling, and I think everybody should kind of have that mindset right now. Just work on what you got to work on. Don't play shows right now. Let things chill out. And then when shows come back, whoo, man,
yeah,
it's going to be packed. Every show is going to be packed. You know, there's going to be a ton of new bands. Everyone's going to be fired up, and everyone's going to be motivated. And everyone, you know, will realize that, you know, just, you know, that they don't take it for granted, you know, let's get at it. You know, I think that's how it's going to be when things get better.
Yeah, I am avoiding mosh pits for at least a year, though. There's a lot of pent-up energy that's going to be released in there, and I, you know, it'll be great to have concerts.
Our shows, dude. Our shows, our pits are insane, man. There's like hardcore kids going at it, metalheads going at it, people stage diving, kicking people in the head. It's pretty crazy already.
Oh man, and you play here in New York City, the hardcore capital of the world. I mean, you guys aren't gonna start the mosh pit. You guys are gonna be the mosh pit.
Yeah, fucking I hope so, dude.
You ready for the most difficult question of the whole interview?
Let's go.
All right. I ask every artist this, and I always stumble them, and that's why I love asking it. How do you know when a song is done?
Oh man, holy shit, dude. You know what, dude? I don't even know if I know if a song is done. Like, I think it just gets to a point, because, like, and my bandmates would say this about me too, and I know it's just the truth. Like, I just beat stuff into dust. Like, I will hear a song, and then the whole band will be like, "This is sick," and I'll be like, "This shit sucks. Let's redo it." And then there's sometimes where I'm like, "This is so sick," and the band's like, "This sucks. Let's redo it." And there are at least 4 songs on this record that we pretty much, like, are not even the same song as they were at all. Like, the riff completely changed, the structure changed, and we just left everything that we had for, like, months on end before that just to rot because it wasn't what we wanted. And so, I don't know, man. I really don't know if if I have an answer for that. It's just, at some point you have to realize that things can always be different, and at some point you just have to take it for what it is. And I think we just get to a certain point where we think a song has all of the elements that we enjoy and that someone else can enjoy, and then we say, okay, let's just stick it here.
Mm-hmm.
And if we stick it there and we listen to it long enough and we're okay with it, then we leave it. And then we move on. And all those extra riffs we were coming up with, we take them and try to make them into their own song. You know, so I don't know. I don't fully know what makes a song finished. But it's just a feeling you got, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. And you know, I've always said that it would be really cool if a band should try to do a career like this. They only make one song, and like the first album is the same song with just different versions of it, and then like their whole career is just that one song with different remixes of it, and just to see how much it resonates.
That would be really interesting. I mean, there are definitely bands out there that have a very strict formula, and they stick to that formula. And with some bands, it's like more obvious than others, which is totally not a bad thing. I know, like, for instance, like our friends in Gate Creeper, they have like a really badass formula, and you know, I haven't like delved into like try to figure their formula out, but I'm really good friends with Eric, and you know, he always tells me they have their formula that they love, and they stick to it because they know that it works for them and it makes them happy. And that's sick. And we have like our formula that we go by that sometimes we go crazy with and deviate from, and then we're like, well, what the hell happened to sticking with the formula? But you know, I mean, it just I don't know. I think it would be sick. I think that would be absolutely sick, and just have like remixes and have the song turn into something else, and you know, always be based off the same song. And yeah, that would be awesome. That's a really good idea. Can't believe I've never thought of that.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. The Fray will forever be able to headline arenas just because of Over My Head.
Yes, dude.
So, and I could think of so many. I feel like that song, that's actually a really good song, and I almost feel like you can make a cult black and doom metal version of that song, and then you can make it even more poppy than it was, and I think it's going to resonate with people. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, let's see if we could try to make that happen. A Fray cover band, but one song.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody accept the challenge.
I have 2 more questions for you, if that's cool. But when it comes to playing your live shows, you mentioned there's a lot of crowd interaction and, you know, a lot of, you know, energy and stuff. Is there a similar energy into your live presence as you are when you're songwriting, or do you almost feel like that those are 2 completely separate arts altogether that you have to master?
Man, I've never really thought about that. I think some of that energy is definitely reserved for the live show. But when we really hit something, when we're writing, when we play it, we all really get into it. So, I mean, I think like we have a piece of that when we're writing, and I think that actually might be one of the ways that we know that a song is nearing completion, is when we hit that riff and we're just super feeling it, and it makes us want to move. If it makes us want to move, then we know it's going to make other people want to move. So, like, I guess we do kind of have that same energy when we're writing, but the energy live is different, and it totally morphed into something we were not expecting, because I don't know. We've really, our shows have been appealing to a lot of different subgenres and subcultures in metal and punk and hardcore, and we get a very mixed crowd. And all of those crowds like doing things very different from one another.
Yeah.
So it's just that energy of everybody is wild, because there's metalheads that go to shows that that didn't go to shows back in the 80s and 90s and didn't get to see people stage diving to Obituary and Bolt Thrower and all that stuff. They just see push moshing nowadays, and so when they see like hardcore kids or thrash heads or any of that stage diving and circle pitting like crazy or whatever, they're just kind of like, what the hell is going on? So I think it's like that energy is just something that's special to our live show. And honestly, I witnessed that energy a lot in the early 2000s. Because there was a lot of like more metalcore-ish bands touring with metal bands.
Definitely.
And so you would get like a very mixed crowd, and there would be hardcore kids fighting metalheads and stuff. Nowadays, we don't really get fights or anything. Everybody meshes pretty well. Everyone gets along. Everyone has a lot of fun. So I really don't think we could match that energy when we're writing necessarily, because we need the people. We need everybody to get involved, and that's what really makes it special live.
Definitely. Kind of like going back to what you said, what I think a good example to analyze different types of mosh pits too, like, the metalcore and, metal and stuff. If you go to, I don't know if you've ever stumbled at Summer Slaughter, ever been to one of their shows, but like, I was there for 4 years in a row, and like they have like classical death metal bands like Cannibal Corpse or Nile there, but then they bring like deathcore bands like like Carnifex or something like that on there, and then like if you watch it from like the balcony or watch it above, you notice a different type of what I call pit dynamic, because during the traditional death metal you see like the push pittings and the circle pits and stuff, and then with the deathcore acts or the more slam oriented bands like Oceana, when they played, I mean it's fucking kung fu in there. So
yeah.
So you can analyze those mosh pits like a meteorologist, actually. Like I sense a breakdown right here, so we're going to be expecting some crowd killing in this vicinity right here.
Yes.
Yep. And
all right, the two-step riff is happening, so everyone's going to be two-stepping. Got it.
Yep. He just said open this fucking shit up, so we're going to be expecting a wall of death soon. We'll be right back after our FCC complaint. And before we go, I just want to thank you so much for your time. Just finally, is there anything else that you would like to promote with Frozen Soul in terms of, like maybe some live stream performances or, your merch or anything like that?
Yeah, we still have a special edition Halloween shirt that we had put out the day that we released the video for Encased in Ice. That's up on our Holy Mountain store. It's a crazy ass shirt, and yeah, you should go pick it up. On top of that, you should definitely check out our friends in Combat. They're a local band from Denton, which is like right around the corner from where we live. They just put all their music up on Spotify, and it is badass. So other than that, man, I appreciate you having me on here, dude. This was a lot of fun. You asked me some really interesting questions that I had never thought of before.
Thank you. I went to art school, so.
Yes.
But thank you so much, Chad. Everybody, we are here with Chad of Frozen Soul. Be sure to pick up their brand new album coming out on Century Media this January of 2021. Start the new year off on a great note. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York.